Welcome to Unity of Flagstaff, and of course I am Rev Penni Honey. As always, it is our joy and our pleasure to share this time with you. We have a special treat for you today. Daniel Nahmod, world-renowned music producer, songwriter, and musical artist, will not only be presenting the music today, but will also bless us with the message, swimming. It's not just about keeping your head above water. We are grateful for the support by Daniel to this community, and I personally am grateful for his support through the years of my ministry. Thank you, Daniel. Find out more about Daniel at danielnahmod.com. And to find more about Unity of Flagstaff, of course, go to our website at www.unityofflagstaff.org. You can donate there, find out what's happening. We appreciate your continued support of this thriving ministry. Thank you again, and we are in absolute knowing that you will enjoy the message and the music.
Hello Flagstaff, it's Daniel Nahmod. I'm so glad to be spending a little time with you today. I'm going to share a few songs, a couple of stories. Going to be thinking about water, specifically swimming. It's actually perfect timing because we just spent a couple of days with access to a pool, which actually had a little water slide. Extra exciting for the 8-year-old boy. So I have swimming on my mind, and glad to sing for you today and talk a little bit about what swimming means in different ways. And let's start with a song. As far as I can tell, I don't have any songs with the word swimming in it. But I have several songs about diving. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, get ready, my soul. Get ready, get ready, my soul. Now, we all associate, or most of us for sure, associate swimming with summer and fun and childhood. But if you think about the feeling of swimming, it's resonant on a lot of different levels. It's funny, in my own life, and I'm a cross-referencer and a free associator. And when I think of swimming, strangely enough, the first thing I think of is my mother, who is deathly afraid of water, and apparently always has been. She doesn't identify a specific moment where she maybe nearly drowned or found herself in over her head or powerless, scared. She just is afraid, and has always been afraid, as far as I know, of swimming. The closest she comes to swimming is a little water aerobics class where she putters around in like 2 or 3 feet of water. And when she did that, actually, it was a little bit of a stretch. But anything deeper than that, it makes her really, really powerfully scared, not just for herself, but for anyone she's watching swim. She's just on edge and nervous all the time. And I wonder if you and I couldn't relate, whether you are afraid of water like that or not, and most likely you're not. But many are, and my free association with that, actually, it's going to sound maybe a little random. My free association with that is to my both of my bubbies, my grandparents, my grandmothers, I should say, my mom's mother and my dad's mother, neither of whom ever learned to drive. They never got driver's licenses. They were both first generation Americans. Both emigrated actually from Poland, although entirely different periods in Polish and American history. One grandmother, my father's, emigrated the turn of the 20th century with 12 brothers and sisters. The other emigrated to the United States after World War II, having lost everyone in her family except for her husband and one brother on each side. Her husband's and her own brothers. 4 of them arrived in the United States after the war to start a new life. So 2 grandmothers, coincidentally from Poland, neither of whom ever got behind the wheel of a car, both of whom lived in the United States long, long lives. One grandmother, my dad's mom, lived to 98, so she was in the United States for 90 plus years. And the other grandmother lived in the United States for 45 years before each of them passed away. And I think about the nature of a life without learning to drive. Of course, literally, in a practical way, times were a certain kind of way for a housewife, a stay-at-home mom, as well as somebody who didn't speak English natively. They both learned English just fine, both extremely capable and creative people. But to some extent, they were never going to reach beyond a certain level of comfort. My dad's mom always used to say, whenever any of her grandsons, any one of us was risking something, her advice was always, well, you know what you got, but you don't know what you're going to get. And it didn't matter if you even liked what you had. It just mattered that it was a sure thing versus the unsure, the uncertain, the scary, the unknown. And on my mom's side, her parents arrived in the United States shell-shocked, of course, traumatized, a trauma that they never could reasonably be expected to recover from, and they didn't. Certainly not emotionally. And they raised 3 kids, and they made the most of their lives in America, and they certainly handed all 3 of their kids the opportunity to make the most of theirs. But did my grandmother ever take that kind of giant risk, that would involve her literally or metaphorically getting behind the wheel of a vehicle to a new world. She'd already done that under extreme and agonizing circumstances, traumatic circumstances, and I don't believe she ever ventured outside of that comfort zone after that point. I remember taking my mother to the Grand Canyon once. I was singing in New Mexico, and for some reason it occurred to both of us, my mom and me, how about you meet me in New Mexico and we'll drive over and see the Grand Canyon. You've never seen it, I said to her. So she did. She met me in Albuquerque Airport, and we drove to the Grand Canyon, and she stood on the south rim of the Grand Canyon. I'm still emotional to think about her reaction. My mom had never seen it. She's a worldly person, lived a much more expansive life than her parents ever did. But my mom's first reaction was not, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Her reaction was, I wish my mom could have seen this. I'm not sure how many times, if ever, her parents got on airplanes or ventured beyond Chicago where they arrived, straight from New York, straight from the boat, straight from Europe. They were extraordinarily strong and tough, but there was a point beyond which they didn't go once they arrived, and who could blame them and who could fault them? Neither, right? But then I think rewinding back to the next generation, my mother, being terribly afraid of water and of swimming. And to me, it doesn't feel all that different, but it's maybe a smaller or less limiting fear. But certainly a limiting fear. Who hasn't gone to the pool and either been the one to jump on in and have the greatest time, or be the one to watch and be desperately eager, just wanting to get in the water, because is there anything more beautiful than a blue swimming pool filled with cool water on a hot day? It is just a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it begs you to come in. And my mom had resisted that begging, resisted that urge her entire life, and still does to this day, except for that water aerobics class, which she didn't start until she was in her 70s. So then, now we're a generation further, and I think of me. And I think, I have mine. I have my swimming pools that I won't jump in. I have my limits. I have my driver's license I've never gotten. I have my points beyond which I've never gone. Do you? Where'd you get them? Where did you get those limits? For my wife, who will eat almost anything, and try it at least once, she has been just astonished that this boy she loves really pretty much refuses to eat a tomato. Now, my wife she's Italian, okay, so she makes tomato sauce. She cooks it about 24 hours. She does not use a recipe. She tosses in a little of this and a little of that. She showed me an Instagram image once, what do you call it, a meme or something, and it said, Italian cooks don't use recipes. They just keep adding ingredients until their ancestors whisper enough. And that's exactly how Melina cooks. And the sauce, my God, it's so good. And I practically drink it through a straw. I mean, it's that good. Plenty of tomato in that sauce. But somehow a fresh slice of tomato. She got me to try one grape, what do you call it, a grape-sized tomato recently out of her garden that she grew. I did. I took a bite, and I didn't like it. But that's the closest I've ever come to eating a fresh tomato on purpose. Is that the same thing as being afraid of a pool? You know, it kind of can be. You look at a plate of food and you say, oh, no, I'm not eating that. And somebody will say, why not? Oh, you don't like that? And you say, well, I haven't actually tried it. I just don't want to. And in what areas of your lives and my life do we draw that kind of boundary and say, no, 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 I'm not getting that driver's license. Too scared, not qualified, takes too long, costs too much. Oh, think of all the bad that could happen. You know what you've got, but you don't know what you're going to get. So if I was going to offer my first thought on water, it's that it offers us literally and metaphorically a chance to dive in, a risk to take, with an unbelievably refreshing, reviving payoff on the other side of the fear. I'm going to sing you another song. Nothing to say, nowhere to go, nothing to do. I have no promises to make, no one to know, nothing to prove. It's a strange sort of existence, but somehow it seems so true. The only thing I really know is that I don't know a thing. The only sound that I hear now is the silence when I sing. The only sight my eyes can see is the darkness of my dreams. This is how I'm born to be empty. Another feeling that's, to me, closely associated with swimming is weightlessness, floating. Always loved it. Always loved going just a few feet underwater and holding my breath and resting my entire body, just letting it go. Hear a few sounds through the water, but not much. A little bit of sunlight kind of rippling from the surface. And there's this feeling of inner weightlessness, isn't there? Emptiness. I'm not saying our feelings don't follow us underwater, but like the rest of us, they seem to get lighter. Maybe that's why it feels so natural for kids. Weightlessness, their bodies are lighter to begin with, but so are their burdens, usually. Or, at the very least. I think kids are probably more instinctively, naturally attuned to letting them go for a moment. The problems melt away for a few minutes. Kids can get absorbed. Sorry for the water pun. They can get absorbed in an experience and let the rest go. Adults, on the other hand, seem to be more hesitant to lay it all down. If you feel like it, let's take a minute and imagine swimming, ducking underwater, with a lung full of air, or two lungs. You stop stroking, stop kicking, stop fighting, and just be. So much pushing and pulling, so much fighting and straining, so much laboring against waves and wind. I am tired, my arms are weary, my back is aching, my eyes are bleary. I think I'm finally ready to give in. I have struggled, I have cried, I have screamed inside about the kind of life I've tried to lead. Well, right now, I think it's time, for the very first time, to lay down my body and mind and just be. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, I'm gonna be alright. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. Down the block or to the moon, round the world or just to my room. I can't say where I'm supposed to end up. I've resisted for so long, as if I could do no wrong, and it's never been quite good enough. It's a funny thing, I guess, this prideful human saying yes without knowing what I'm agreeing to. But there's a simple fact I find: the decision's never been mine. All I'll ever do is what I'm meant to do. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, I'm gonna be alright. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. It's a scary thing for sure, to lay down my oars and quit pretending that I've ever been in charge. But it's scarier still to spend my strength and will and never even have a peaceful heart. So here goes the toughest thing. Ironic, don't you think, that it's so hard and so easy all at once? No, it's not laziness, it's just the deepest kind of trust that I'm okay when all is said and done. I'm okay when all is said and done. If I stop steering my boat, does it sink? Oh no, current carries it along just so. If I stop steering my life, I'm gonna be alright. I'll just go where where the ocean says to go. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. I'll just go where the ocean says to go. One other thought I want to leave you with today about swimming. And it's really more about water in general. I don't think it's an accident or a coincidence. Maybe it's obvious that it isn't. That such a large percentage of the human species chooses to live within a mile or two of water. If you look at the major cities in the world and major population centers, either a significant lake, a significant river, or an ocean is in the vicinity. We all know what the sound of waves crashing does for our sleep. And if we think, just a tiny bit broader about water, no rhyme intended, we find that, as I've talked about many times, I do workshops. I lead workshops on on my songs about water. I have an album called Water, and something that I like to point out in my workshops about water is that everything beautiful, and I mean everything, if you really think about it, everything beautiful on Earth, all life, sunrises and sunsets wouldn't look like they do without water vapor in the air. The seasons, every feature of the ground, every flower, every tree, every blade of grass, it's all made of and from and by water. Water gives of itself and occupies spaces in our cells, in our brains, in fish, and in the earth, and in soil, and in the glaciers, and in the poles, and in the waves, and in the currents. Water occupies every surface of the world and shapes it, and gives life and color and beauty to it, and is always changing it. Water is the stuff we're made of, the stuff we come from, and the stuff to which we return. And I think there's something instinctive that happens around a swimming pool. Even if it's a little kiddie pool, it beckons, doesn't it? A body of water of any size feels like where you want to dip your toes or your hands, or splash it on your face, or spend a day, or wade, or fish, or dive, or where you want to pitch a tent next to it, or the sounds you want to record. It's magnetic. And I think that the reason that is that for us, water is, there's something magical about it that feels like home. It is a mysterious substance. Never actually dirty, by the way. Water is pristinely clean. It's H2O. There's no such thing as a dirty molecule of water. It can be mixed together with pollutants, of course. But all it takes is a quick distillation. All you have to do is let the water evaporate, and you're left with the dirt that made that water dirty. But the water itself was always perfect and clean, like I would say we are ourselves. Not to wax too poetic or philosophical about it, but I remember we are not fundamentalist religious people. My wife and I, I'll share something a little personal with you, and that is that I remember when Jude was born. My wife said, she said, nobody, I'm paraphrasing, but nobody better tell us that our son has committed some original sin. She said, look at him. He's perfect. He's committed no sins. Anybody who tells me had better back off. I think water is that perfection and pristine, original source for all of us. Literally and metaphorically, it feels that way. And jumping into a pool of water, experiencing some sort of odd weightlessness, doing that floating, experiencing that womb-like quiet. George Carlin says we spend the first 9 months of our lives trying to get out of the womb and the rest of our lives trying to get back in. And I do think that in a very real and meaningful and powerful way, swimming is a primitive evocation of the womb, of the home from which we all come, the life from which we all spring. Sorry, another water pun. So if I have any wish for you right now, this is a time when we are being shouted at, and we are being scared. We are being threatened. However you want to take that phrase, we are being intimidated. We are being overwhelmed. We are being stopped. Whether it's stopped from leaving the house, stopped from going to school, stopped from going to work, stopped from opening a business, whatever it is, circumstances, whether it's people or political parties or a government or whoever you want to ascribe responsibility to. It could simply be Mother Nature and the virus, okay? But in any case, this is a time to remember what diving in to a swimming pool feels like, whether you have access to a pool or not. And we don't, except the last couple of days we did. And what a reminder it was of how it feels to dive in and to float, and to let the worries and the cares and the weight of the world melt away and be buoyed and supported by the water, and to feel that feeling of home and safety that water offers us every time. Obviously, it's more complicated than just a simple feeling of home. Water does great damage. Water floods. I should know this house is flooded. Our fixer-upper home flooded, leaked, plumbing didn't work. So I know water is more complicated than I'm portraying it, but I'm talking, not quite as literally as it sounds maybe. Water is in just the right place at just the right time right now. It's just the right feeling. A feeling of home, a feeling of safety, a feeling of possibility, a feeling of surrender. It's all right here for you. So whether you have access to a pool right now or not, I hope that you can feel those feelings, summon them up in your imagination, if not in real life. Soon enough, we'll all be able to jump back into some swimming pools. We'll all be able to take those leaps of faith again. We'll all be able to leave home and return home of our own volition on our own terms. The time is coming, and between now and then, I wish you a good float, and a good dive, and a good swim, and a beautiful rest of the summer. I'm through asking where I'm going. I've been asking all my life. I've grown tired of all this wondering when everything seems to turn out right. So when my mind needs something to do, wants to know the future, I whisper this: I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. So here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. Here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. No, I'm not afraid this time, 'cause I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. And continue, please, to support our musical artists. You can find more about Daniel at danielnahmod.org. Go on Facebook and see some of his live stream concerts. Continue to support our musical artists at this time. Again, we thank you for being with us. For more information about the ministry, go to our website, www.unityofflagstaff.org. Recently, you should have received a care call from this ministry, and if you haven't, please request one at office@unityofflagstaff.org or call the ministry at 928-526-8893. We would love to connect with you. My friends, next week we will be celebrating miracles, everyday miracles. I look forward to connecting with you then. Again, check us out on our website and know that we are here holding you in the light and ever holding the consciousness that God is just too big to fit into one religion. And I affirm with you, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is swell. Namaste.